increased seat pitch, wide aisle between rows, modern climate lighting control, anti-aerophobic interior design, increased luggage compartments, internet, and multimedia package. This is what the aircraft MR-21 looked like for passengers, and experts estimate the composite materials of which in the new liner about 40% and the most advanced in its class weight. What technologies are used to create a new aircraft? How many companies are involved in cooperation on the assembly of the MC-21? Why is he called Sam? 21st century. So, in the 90s, the Russian aviation industry mainly produced only military novelties from civil aircraft. Only dry superjet is mass-produced. About 100 foreign manufacturers are constantly modernizing their aircraft to reduce fuel consumption and increase comfort. But all this is done on the basis of gliders that were developed decades ago. In order to get an aircraft with perfect aerodynamics, it must be designed from scratch. This is the only way to improve one of the most important parameters of civil aviation, fuel efficiency. To solve this problem took the Irkut Corporation, the composition of which in the early 2000s included the Yakovlev Design Bureau. The team has experience in creating successful jet passenger aircraft Yak-40 and Yak-42Vs. The machines were competitive by world standards and were supplied to many countries. Full-scale development of the new aircraft, called the MR-21, started in 2008 with the support of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Russia. Despite their market segment in the conditions of dominance of Boeing and Airbus, designers of Irkut bet on technical superiority.
Now we had to conquer the market. It was impossible to enter the market with an iron wing to go to this market. We would not have won anything from a single parameter. First and foremost, these are technical solutions.
The new MAS-21 basic configuration should accommodate up to 211 passengers. At the same time, the liner is wider than the nearest competitors, that is, more comfortable but more economical due to improved aerodynamics of the wing. According to experts, fuel savings compared to the current generation of aircraft MC-21 will be 24%, while competitors, even with new engines, save only 13 to 18%. Economical, eco-friendly, low noise, comfortable, and of course reliable. Such principles are included in the design of the new aircraft to achieve the objectives. Engineers from the very beginning moved away from the usual design models. Without piles of paper drawings and bulky layouts at the Yakovlev Engineering Center, the main design division of the Irkut Corporation is now doing easily. Developers have the most modern computer program, or more precisely, a unified information environment. It creates digital models of the mass in three-dimensional format.
Did it grow that we finally went into technology that we didn't have, and that many still don't believe we will do?
Experts can make their comments and edits even online, while the system is protected as much as possible.
Increasing the speed of information transmission and reducing time delays, involving verification of the completeness of documentation and launching it into production at the stages when some of the documentation has been released, some has not been released, and the plant technology is already starting to work.
All information is transmitted via high-rate channels from Moscow directly to the plant in Irkutsk. Fighters, bombers, transporters. From the workshops of the Irkutsk aviation plant, thousands of military and civil aircraft left. Nowadays, the main products of the enterprise are combat training, Yak-130 and multipurpose Su-30, and M and NK modifications. In 2008, the Irkutsk Corporation had another task to make a completely new civil aircraft.
Yak 130-137. In recent years, the Irkutsk plant has been mainly engaged in military orders, but this part of the fuselage is clearly not for the fighter. This is the future MS-21-1, which will fly.
Yes. Production workshop. Most of the metal parts of the fuselage are made in-house. A huge workpiece comes to the plant, from which specially purchased machines are literally sawed. The finished detail is like this. The advanced machining center can accommodate a blank size reaching up to 6.5 meters.
It's a lantern frame. That is, this is the front of the plane, where to leave your windows.
Where are they sitting?
Pilots, but what to do? The front?
The original piece had a weight of 800 kilos and was functional.
Everything is about 25.
In addition to new machines and tools for the assembly of the aircraft of the 21st century, they also use the most modern methods of quality control. Interestingly enough, for luminescent inspection, the plant didn't need to purchase new equipment despite it not being used in military production.
Look, as I understand it before, when the Irkut plant only made military orders, there was no such control. It appeared recently.
Yes, it's appeared recently. We used to make parts for Airbus products. Now we are doing it for the product M-21.
The parts are suspended on the crane beam and lowered into the chamber, where it is covered with a miniaturizing composition. Then they are washed and carefully examined with ultraviolet light. If the parts possess microscopic fractures, the luminescent substance will persist within them. All work is carried out in parallel. The plant produces and checks components, and from those that are already ready, assemble aircraft sections.
Under one plane, our line has already been completely made, you know. Everyone went through everything they went through. As the word calls us, maybe there were local guys. Well, in terms of technology, we lagged far behind in the 90s. And at the end of the 80s, we were also on the verge. Now I can say that you are on the urn of the entire planet. We have made a technological revolution in all cooperation enterprises. We work at MC-21 in Russia.
By the way, one of the fuselage M-21 to rise the air is not destined. By 2013, the aircraft body was brought to Zhukovsky near Moscow and transferred to the Central Aerodynamic Institute for testing. Now you see unique images. One of the world's largest aircraft in 124 Ruslan delivers from Irkutsk to Moscow the fuselage of the MC-21 aircraft. His task is to prove that engineers were not mistaken when they calculated the strength of the future liner. Yes, look at some, and they unload the engineer's words of the plane's work. Practically, even a minor mistake in a 6-ton fuselage might crash onto concrete. This, of course, will also be a test of strength, but it is still better to entrust the tests of professionals to saga specialists. Compartment C-21 was manufactured in a record 3 months, and he plans to test more. Years of sagas are coming to an end. Any Russian aircraft, from the Su-25 attack aircraft to the passenger airliner. Fuselage Cream 21 has to prove that it is not scary, the toughest load. The aircraft wing is manufactured in Ulyanovsk. The Russian airliner S-21 has absorbed a lot of innovative technologies. One of the main one in the world is an almost completely composite wing, which consists of complete carbon fiber panels up to 18 meters long. It is made at the Aerocomposite Ulyanovsk plant.
Load is heavy and losing weight is our journey. Corrosion resistance of the material. That is, they are no longer subject to such corrosion as, say, metal is aluminum alloys. The rest of the alloys are A.
You have more of your own?
At the moment, carbon fiber composites are actively used by both military and civilians. They make large parts, whole panels, fuselage, wings, and wings. True, if companies such as Boeing and Airbus produce composite structures from individual sections, then for the MC-21 project, it was decided to create wing consoles from solid long-dimensional carbon plastic elements. The Ulyanovsk plant was built precisely for this task.
You understand here fully? I have been working with this plant for almost... Every time I come to Ulyanovsk, it is happiness and pride for me.
The creation of wing parts begins with the fact that the machine lays the composite thread according to a predetermined program of layers can be up to. Look at
the most difficult so far at this stage is software. It is still being refined, improved, and otherwise normal whimsical machine work 3 shifts, plowing like a horse.
After laying out, the workpiece is sent to the furnace. The so-called infusion technology is used. It allows you to make a wing of great elongation under the influence of vacuum and temperature. The layers are impregnated with the adhesive composition, baked into a single mass.
With infusion technology, we can soak everything at once without the need for initial detailing.
Soak one?
Then glue another one that is no glued part. Yes, it's all monolithic construction. It turns out accordingly that we can make a wing part 18 m long, which in turn improves the dynamic characteristics.
Airplanes. The subsequent phase involves machining, where a massive machine grinds parts to precision, aligning shapes meticulously. This process requires several hours to achieve perfectly calibrated geometry. Before sending the assembly shop, each structural element is checked, and they look not only the form but also the internal content. In fact, they do ultrasound.
Allows us to determine where we have any inaccuracies and what shortcomings we have in ours.
Products?
But at this stage so far, we have such serious shortcomings?
No.
However, our inspection process is incremental.
Aerocomposite pays great attention to quality control. The company has a laboratory in Moscow, which is where they do it. First samples, parts according to infusion technology, and check them for strength. Part of the batch from the plant in Ulyanovsk is also sent there for inspection. Modern test rigs exert pressure and break parts to confidently ascertain the loads they endure. In this workshop of the Ulyanovsk plant, from composite and metal components assembled the wing of the aircraft, or rather, 2 separate consoles for each of its own.
The station wing is assembled throughout Russia. Composite spar members are made here in Ulyanovsk. Durable nerves come from Irkutsk and Belgorod. Mechanization details will also be sent from other cities, and already here at the Aerocomposite plant, the wing will be completely assembled and sent again to Irkutsk, where the right and left wing consoles are attached to the fuselage.
At the moment, the plant is fully ready for mass production, but the enterprise itself has the potential to expand as soon as necessary. Increase the release rate. Aircraft to Ulyanovsk will purchase additional equipment and assembly stations. Meanwhile, one wing has already been transferred to the Irkutsk Corporation and installed on the new MS-21 airliner.
The contours of the future aircraft are already emerging. 2 sections are assembled here, 3 will soon be brought, to which the wing will be attached, and one half of the fuselage too will be assembled separately, after which both halves will be brought to the final assembly shop, where the aircraft will already be fully assembled.
From each section of the fuselage made a separate assembly station. Here, for example, the central one is being prepared. It is to it that the console of the wing precision assembly is attached. The main parameter is tolerance. The minimum 6-meter components are adjusted and docked with positioning for micron. The middle part of the fence, which we assembled in the shortest possible time, had great difficulties, which means that with the positioning of this compartment, these components were installed using razor leveling rulers. Parallel to the central one is going another section. It is called F4. The plane is located immediately behind the wing. The peculiarity of this part is that it does not put it on every plane.
This section for the plane is optional if it exists. It turns out that we are 21,300. That is a longer option. If not, then M with 21 to 200. But version 1 of the aircraft will be exactly elongated. The section is now being prepared for installation.
Both sections are ready for transportation to the fuselage floor assembly station. In order to transfer to the plant, robotic transporters were purchased. They are remotely controlled and can move in any direction. Parts of the fuselage are put in the right order. Exactly half of the plane is collected here. Again, the engineer's headache, the accuracy of the connection. High technology comes to the rescue. Control measuring operations are carried out by laser trackers, which give us digital coordinates. The location of our compartment in spatial position. In parallel with the manufacture of the fuselage and wing, on the aircraft mounts onboard radio electronic equipment. When designing MC-21, several innovative solutions were laid. One of them is modular avionics. Throughout the life of the airliner can be updated units and instruments, as well as software. Avionics is one of the most complex and expensive elements of a modern aircraft. It accounts for up to 15% of its cost for the first time in the last 3 decades. The integration of radio electronic equipment into a civil aircraft was entrusted to domestic companies. For example, the core of the software was written by mathematician M.G. at Red Glab. The main work is carried out by QAC Integration Center.
If you take the previous project, which was done in Russia, it is a superjet. The main integrator of the complex was the French firm Taliway. Sukhoi's group also made a significant fragment of mathematics there, but today in this project, we are doing the selection of suppliers, integration into the entire complex, and the development of mathematics.
All technical information is displayed on the pilot's display, and flight safety depends on how fully and conveniently it will be presented directly. Therefore, Russian developers have built into the cabin several useful innovations.
For the first time in a civil aviation hotel, large format displays are used, which allows to provide the pilot with a broader institutional awareness. One of the features of our aircraft is the presence immediately in the basic configuration of electronic tablets Pilot KO, and it allows him to practically not work with paper information. Also, as an option, we offer our customers indicators on the windshield and improved in synthetic vision system.
All avionics for checking and refining the software is assembled on a single stand, which is controlled from a remote control copy of the cabin below.
We can say that this is in some way an electronic copy of the aircraft. Yes, in terms of radio electronic equipment. Yes, because those systems that are not radio electronic, there are chassis systems and so on. They are in the form of simulators. Yes, they are here, and most of the radio electronic equipment is real. That is the equipment that is on the plane.
This digital copy of the aircraft will exist throughout the life of the MC-21 on unrefined software model variants. Flight modes and the operation of all onboard radio electronic equipment is highly optimized. Numerous checks, simulations, extensive tests, and thorough optimization guarantee the utmost reliability of systems, the convenience of pilots, and the unparalleled safety of the innovative new airliner. To increase the competitiveness of the corporation, Irkutsk decided to install on the aircraft two types of engines, Russian PD-14 and American P-1400G. Choose it. The customer will make one flight with the MC-21, equipped with engines from the American company Proton Whitney, already installed on the aircraft. Presently, it is considered one of the most advanced aircraft engines in the world, and is also used to modernize the Airbus A320. The use of foreign motors allows you to solve two problems, accelerate the start of tests, and expand demand from foreign customers. In this context, a well-known engine from a Western firm is seen as a gateway to new markets. In addition, the PW1400G gives the opportunity to test the new Russian engine PDA-14 on the aircraft, which will already be flying with a foreign engine. In parallel, in the city of Kern, are working on the Russian power plant for the MC-21, designed an absolutely new PD-14. Two enterprises of the city are working on the creation: the Perm motor plant, which has established serial production, and the company Aviadvigatel Developers. This is the first engine of its class of truck created in Russia since collapse of the Soviet Union. Thanks to the MC project, Perm factories are obsolete again.
The engine, according to D14, is created according to modern paperless design technologies, which allows to reduce the time of creating such an engine, as well as improve the quality of manufacture of this engine, make it
more economical and reliable. New File 14 has already figured out the airplane, though not the MACE-21 flying laboratory. Four IL-76 engines allow him not to be afraid of a possible failure or malfunction of one of them. In addition, the aircraft has excellent load capacity, which means measuring equipment can be installed on it, and in the case of the PD-14, part of the wing can also be strengthened. The pilot, the testers, did not spare the engine under 14, drove it in all possible modes, turned it on and off during the flight, took into account more than 1,000 different parameters.
We anticipate completing the engineering test phase potentially by September of this year. And after that, it means that we will obviously write conclusions on the readiness of this engine to be installed on MC-21. And after that, will there be a stage of certification now, if tests?
The order for the P-14 is expected to be large-scale, especially considering its versatility. Not only is the engine made with the calculation of different modifications of the MC-21, it is also suitable. And for others, planes and not just planes.
On the basis of the gas generator engine PDA-14, it is possible to create a line of gas turbines for the gas transportation industry. For energy, these are ground-based installations. Well, how can there be a distant but quite realizable prospect of this helicopter engines, ship engines, and so on?
The goal of the PD-14 project is to win more than 10% of the market for turbofan engines in the thrust class from 7 to 18 tons. The first batch of finished engines is waiting at the Irkutsk Aviation plant, where they will be installed, but the MS-21 aircraft is already fully assembled. Here is the fully assembled MC-21 liner. Though it has numerous tests ahead and a flight still pending, it is now a fully ready aircraft of the future. According to experts, narrow-body airliners make up 78% of the world fleet of passenger aircraft, with a capacity of more than 100 seats. Analysts are confident that in 20 years, their number will double and exceed 24,000 cars. That's why M21 should go into series. In the near future, he will be able to solve the task set by the government to increase the share of Russian aircraft in the world to 10% by 2025.
A crucial phase has arrived in the lifespan of the M-21 Stunt One-Liner project. This stage involves its public presentation and showcasing to top state officials. The Irkut Corporation is demonstrating that the project is progressing as planned. The assembly of the aircraft is complete, and it will soon be ready for its maiden flight.
Hiring from 21 is already quite a lot of orders. 175 future aircraft were purchased by Russian aviation and leasing companies. The project's aim extends beyond merely creating a competitive liner. It seeks to elevate the entire industry. Multiple enterprises have received orders amounting to over 1,000 individuals. Factories are reviving and modernizing production through the acquisition of work and equipment, and design engineers are gaining invaluable experience that will be instrumental in future advancements. Meanwhile, Irkut Corporation is preparing for the serial production of the liner of the future,